Okay, it is. Today is August 18th, 2022. And today, super excited to meet with our guest. She's just an amazing singer, artist, creative director, and she's now in the waiting room, so I'm gonna let her in and we'll get started.
Hey Ripley,
Hey, Tossie. Hello, hello.
how are you?
I'm good.
Mm.
I have to admit, I'm nervous.
Yeah, me too.
Oh my gosh. Um, there's so much in the very best way. When I was doing research and trying to figure out like talking points for us, I
Okay.
was just like, there's no way we could talk for an hour and get everything.
Oh my goodness.
Which is fine. Like we could always talk again another time in this format. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm just super stoked that we get to share this moment with a larger audience. I
Uh-huh.
mean, you know how art is. Sometimes it's a lot, and sometimes it's just two people.
Right. Right.
But it's my hope to give space to share what's meaningful to you that maybe doesn't get talked about enough, that you feel passionate about, and whatever. Like if you want to promote something
Okay.
too. Um, I'll do a quick bio, which definitely won't do justice. I'm gonna enjoy doing the reference notes.
Yeah. Well, I'm nervous to just make sure that I'm saying all the things I want to say in the way that I want to say it, but I'm also trying to hold this as like it's practice and I'll get better with time.
That's the best we can do.
Right.
If it helps at all, I'll explain what this is all about. Um, this is not about perfection. It's about being messy and like the real truth of being creative
Okay.
and working through navigating a creative process and how awful it can feel sometimes.
Uh-huh.
And it's really like a reflection of my own creative process in navigating a discovery that I am a creative person. And
Yeah.
if I'm going through this, there has to be at least 1,000 or more people who feel this way. I
Mm-hmm.
really just want to create an
Mm-hmm.
opportunity for people to relate to the fact that having a creative process actually doesn't look any sort of way. It just is. And that's what this is. So it's not like it's fine if we curse, if we make mistakes. I mean, it's just going to be a raw, like 40 minutes to an hour of us just talking about our experiences.
Okay.
How does that make you feel?
Vulnerable, but yes.
No, I can relate to that.
Vulnerable, but I'm here for vulnerability and I'm also being very mindful. What's attached to me to the creative with the creative process is my mental health
Yeah,
and um and the creative process is also a part of my spiritual practice.
yeah,
So just both of those places are tender. And I'm very resilient in both of those places, but I also want to be like mindful that I don't overshare and then leave myself with a be vulnerability hangover, or then I don't
yeah.
want to undershare, and because of fear or because of it just takes me a little time to warm up,
No,
or
that's all real. I
security,
definitely thought
yeah,
about all that. Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Let me start with I'm going to read a few things
Okay.
that I learned about you.
Okay.
Obviously isn't enough, but just want to touch on the fact that our guest, Tossie Long, is an experienced designer. She's international performing artist, facilitator, and creative director. She is the person charged with singing. She's the architect. She's building and rebuilding the city through memories of our soul kin. It's planting sonic seeds for more of us to be here, to have our stories told and be heard and shared. Tossie works at the intersections of music, culture, and socio-political edges that span from rock and roll vocals, Afro-futurist productions, and immersive design experiences. Tossie is also a Grammy-nominated artist. Don't be fooled. She has her chops, so definitely check her stuff out. She's definitely someone who you wouldn't even know the number of projects that she's contributed to. And not just artists, but also communities, as Tossie is a practitioner of ceremonial music from around the world with a focus on diasporic cosmetology. Cosmetology? No, cosmology. I'm sure you're good at cosmetology too. um, there were definitely some other interviews that I've come across that I wouldn't really want us to dive into the same topics. I'll definitely share those in the reference notes because it's definitely worth listening to for the guests. But aside from all that, really, where would you like to start?
Oh, wow. Um, let's start from the beginning.
Lovely.
Yeah, yeah. And I think when I say that is when I first started to engage with the creative process. And it began when I didn't even know it. I was in my mother's womb. She's a classical pianist, classical and spiritual pianist. So I always like to say that, I was brought into this world through music. I was created by the sounds of the piano, and she was probably singing too. She woke me and my brother, I have a brother, up practically every morning with her playing the piano and singing. So I was incubated in that and also like grew up with that. Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So you were the sonic seed.
Yes. Yes, that I learned about the meaning of my name recently when I went traveled to Benin. I traveled to Benin to study about Vodou
Mhm.
and with Queen Mother Dorothy, Dagbo, and other cultural barriers, Alex Musavi, um, and just other cultural barriers of bearers of Vodou and uh, the culture, the food, the way of life there. And Dagbo, who is I'm pretty sure I'm definitely not saying his whole name. It's a long name, and so please forgive
Yes,
me for
please
just
forgive.
making a nickname because God, I don't mean it in that way. I really don't mean it in that way.
Yes, of course.
So like I check myself on that. Like, yeah, please don't. Yeah, but he told me he's like, well, previous to that, it was, driving around doing different things. And people were like, do you hear your name being said? I was like, I was tripping. I felt like I was like, yeah, they did just say my name, right? And I never travel anywhere and hear my name. Like, never. Like, my name is not on those keychains.
Yeah.
Like, I grew up with like that, it just wasn't happening. And so we went to this temple to study and to learn, and to exchange. And he asked me, one of his first things he was like, so your name is Tossie. Tossie. That's the way they pronounce it, Tossie. I was like, yes. He's like, why are you named that? And I was like, because my mama named it. I don't know what to say, and then he was like, do you know what that name means? And I was like, well, I've heard different meanings. Like, growing up, Pacific Islanders, they told me, oh, your name means one.
Mhm.
And so that, and then he said, here, Tossie means the one who sings down praise.
Wow.
And that was like jaw drop, like, what? So it's the one who is charged with singing down praise.
Mhm.
So, my mother giving me that name, and the history of my name is I'm the only woman, female bodied individual who has the name. My on my father's side, majority of all the men and young boys were named Tossie. So my dad's middle name was
Oh.
Tossie. His father's first name was Tossie. His father, like it goes back like that. My brother, middle name is Toss.
Wow.
So my mom was like, I don't care what I have. I love that name. And
Yay.
here I came. So I'm the first, feminine bodied human being in the lineage of my father's side, to carry the name Tossie. And I learned while I was in my studies of Vodou ceremonial music and just Vodou culture in Benin that it means the one who is charged with singing down praise. So, can't make this stuff up, y'all. Can't
Right?
make this stuff up. So, yeah.
I love it.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah. That I don't know, as we just were talking about that, just like what it means to carry, like carrying these names and the
Yeah.
vibration that they hold, you know,
Mhm.
um, and to be charged. So I think of my childhood all the way up to now and how integral singing was, uh, throughout my whole life. Like, I started singing in the church choir. My mother was a classical and spiritual pianist.
Mhm.
And so she played in the church. And so I was one of those Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday kind of church girls.
Yes.
We went every day, practically,
Right. It was the
but
place to be.
yeah, it was, BSU, Bible study, usher board, choir, you name it. We were there, and but the richness of that is that my whole family sings. My whole family does. My mother, my um her mother, her father, all six of her siblings,
Wow.
pretty much all of my cousins. There's 27 of us on my mother's side.
Wow.
So, oh well, it's 28 now. So,
Yeah.
great grands and great grands. And so, as you do your own study about yourself and study about whatever you're interested in, there's times you go into self-reflection. And I remember asking my grandmother and just folks questions. I was that little girl in the family that was always pulling out the old photo books,
Yeah.
and they'll be like, oh God, Tossie grabbed the photo books. And everybody would clear out the room because you would have to tell me, who was this person?
Right.
What was their thinking? What was going on? Where were they at? I wanted to know all of it. That was me. And I'm still that way. and,
Awesome.
and I used to tell them what was happening in the picture. Like, so right here, they were thinking, blah, blah, blah. I was that person. But one of the
Mhm.
things is that my family, all were musicians, all singers. My grandmother was an opera singer, trained opera singer, but they never pursued the music They believed their music. They believed your talents um, belonged and always was to be in service of community.
Mm.
But that was reflected for them. Me growing up, community meant church. So
Right.
they poured their talents into the church. So my mother grew up playing in the church. Um, the choir was my family.
Wow.
And so uh, yeah, like that's where my aunties who can cook up a storm, they cooked for the church, and made
Yeah.
a place for everybody. That's so they believed in that. And I haven't drifted too far from that same thing. Like, although I may play in quote unquote, I'm putting air quotes up,
Hmm.
secular, world stages
Right,
and
right.
different things like that. But I would say the core of my study around music and sound, the core of my study in creativity and art is all about connecting and building up the community, be it with focuses on Black and African descent communities, our connections to one another. Majority of my Afrofuturistic productions I've been a part of has been
Hmm.
all about that.
Yeah.
Albums and things I've been a part of has been, I would say, a theme. The one where I received a Grammy nomination was all around shining our light brightly.
Yeah.
I performed with the Alphabet Rockers on this song. And they were doing social justice work through music. Again, in service of, right, in service of communities.
Hmm.
Some of the other rock albums and different things that I've been a part of, they were serving, oh man, this one particular song was about a personal transformation. I just did a heavy metal project, which with a brilliant musician, Manolo Deville, and his entire project is about the intersection of heavy metal and spiritual music. So everything is
Mm.
in service of, right? Like in service of a community. So I haven't, what they say, raise your child in the direction they should go. That's good old gospel. Like, I think that's a gospel. I don't know. It may just be like an old saying. I don't know. And so I've always, my, talent has gone in that direction, I would say, maybe not in the church, but I did for a long time. But I'm still in the temples. I'm in the temples of many different African cosmology through my studies, right? So really I
Right.
focused and honed in on voodoo. So I've been to many ceremonies around the world. And so African cosmology is not the same as Abrahamic religions and traditions, so we can't look at them the same. So it's not temple versus church
Right.
building. Like you can't look at it the same. You have to really detach yourself and unlearn, decolonize your mind, big time.
Right.
The constant, which is why this study has been so integral in my life, is because the constant unpacking, the constant unlearning, the constant relearning, readjusting, redefining, um, that creativity, and specifically me looking at African cosmology and really like all the genres. That's one of my favorite things to do, is to hop around in different genres: gospel, spirituals, heavy metal. Like when he asked me to be on this heavy, is a heavy metal blues fusion type sound, and I was just like, okay, I could ride the blues thing because I love blues music. The
Hmm.
heavy metal thing, I'm like, let's do this, but I don't know anything about it, you know? But what I love about being in the studio, what I love about music is just really me exploring my vocal range.
Mm.
And not just my vocal range, but who do I have to become? Who do I get to tap into? What parts of me that that's unspoken but has a resonance that I get to find
Yeah.
myself, because I'm exploring these different genres, textures of music and sound and communities and themes. That's what I love. That's why it's my spirit. A part of my spiritual practice is that creative investigation through sound.
Oh, I love that so much. Especially when you said resonance, like that always such a powerful word because it has no particular assignment. Like it
Mm,
just is.
mm,
And I talk about this a lot when I talk about sound as well. Like I'm totally aligned with everything you said, and especially with different genres that may not be looked at as healing or therapeutic, like heavy
mhm.
metal or other genres within metal. But there's a resonance that we can find within those different textures, like you said, that we can express ourselves in ways that might not be available in other textures or genres of music and sound.
Yes.
Yeah, I find that so magical about sound and music.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes is the limits of your language is the limits of your world.
Mm,
And music is a language.
yeah.
You know, it has many languages, like what we're
Yes.
talking about, right? Yeah. So no, I don't speak another language. Well, that's really embarrassing, and I'm one of the people who actually do try to study, taking class like for 2 years and come out like I don't remember one word. So I have to. I'm working on that. Like I'm working on that. I do sing in Creole, Vodou. Um, I do sing in other languages, but not but it's music, and the way I approach that often is just I I'm taught I'm taught what to say. I'm taught the words, the lyrics, and the melodies, and I asked them from the beginning, don't tell me what I'm saying, let me
Mm,
I want to feel it.
yeah.
Right? Like, so just teach me the melody, just teach me how to pronounce it, and I'm gonna go and I'll find it inside my body. And then with my teacher, Daniel Breville, we would do that, and I was like, okay, so what I feel is it's something like da da da. I'll say it's something like no, this is making me feel a little angry or resistant or whatever it may be, and then sometimes I'm on it. A lot of times I was, which was always a fascinating process. And
Hmm.
he would explain to me what the song is. The other thing I would like to say is that the songs are the prayers. That's
Mm,
another thing for me around this practice. Like it's a constant prayer. Music is medicine. It is just something that like it's a fact upon a fact upon a fact. Music is medicine.
yeah.
And in Vodou or African cosmology and another ceremonial music, I've learned they're the prayers. That's the songs are the prayers. And so it is a state of prayer. It is a state of surrender. And
Yeah.
when I say the state of surrender, it's a surrender to go to the void, go to your all space, my open space, and allow communication with my higher self or with, I mean, name it whatever you want to name it. Like I'm not really attached to these names, that we
Sure.
to God, to whatever, sometimes
Yeah.
it's just, whatever, name it whatever you want to
The
name it.
universe. Yeah.
Yeah, the universe, whatever you want to name it. But um, there's energies from the through the Luas and the Orishas, and uh, um, sutras and all these other things that we could tap into. Um, but it's the surrender to the unknown. I don't know. I don't know.
Mm,
You teach me a language I don't know. This is a rhythm I didn't grow up with hearing, but something inside my body recognizes it. It's a familiarity there. Um, and so I go into a constant state of not knowing, of the
mm,
unknown. This is not my native tongue. So I have to go into the constant state of getting past and being insecure that I may not be singing. I haven't gotten there yet. I'm not like, oh, I sing these songs. I'm just like, I got it. Like, no. I just like I feel very very highly insecure around it. And I have been given permission from my master teachers that I've studied with, from my ancestors that I've been in contact with, to enter the music, to sing the prayer.
yeah.
So I still approach it in the unknown space with that knowing, and it is always humbling, because I want to do it. I want to honor the culture and the people in which it's coming from. I want to honor my connection to it. I want to honor the prayer, the actual prayer, like just the music, the actual rhythm, that we're carrying through this song. Like I want to honor it. And it's just a constant humbling. I just always feel so humbled, um and I don't have a problem coming to that, I've learned to get okay with myself, that's where I am. It's okay. Some other people may do it and they just be like, woohoo, they got it and they off and running. Just no, that's not how it lands with me. It's a constant state of unknowing. I don't know. And to be vulnerable in that state of unknown, but then to hear the words and to feel it coming out of your mouth within the rhythm, and don't add the dancer, right? Like
Yeah.
the dancers respond. Oh my God, it's just like it's undeniable that music chose me. That
Mm.
those prayers said you. It's undeniable. So it's a full oracle that I go through in learning and singing them, and then in receiving when I can see things, happening through the other senses of sight, and then also what happens when it's over, when
Yeah.
the room is cleared out and I'm only in my own sacred space in me, and that vibration, that resonance is still going. What I then see, what I then hear, what I then feel, what is then revealed. So yeah.
Right. Beautiful. I love how you have the courage to almost comfortably surrender to that unknown
Mm.
because and there's no attachment to a way that it quote unquote should be. And I find this interesting with language. Like language can be tricky because we kind of attach our own meanings based on our experience to each of the words. And when you don't have that connection or that attachment to the words, and you're leaning only into the actual sound and vibration that it makes,
Mhm, mhm.
nestled in with the music, you're able to access something that might get covered up by
Yes.
our mind and our meanings and trying
Yeah.
to express it based on our previous experience. Like there's maybe like more of an openness to receiving other energy through it.
Hmm. Well, I love how you said that because it reminds me of when I'm learning the songs, I'm really feeling in my mouth the way the words take shape. I just have to shape my mouth and make a sound, which is make sound through just breathing. Just
Mhm.
breathe. I will, do my vocal workshops. I'm like, you're everyone's a singer. You know why? It's because you're breathing. Right? That's it. Right?
Awesome.
That's simple. What makes sound is breath. What makes sound is the ability to breathe and let it out. So to feel the words, my mouth move, my tongue roll, like it's like I literally have to feel the shaping of the words, and the sound inside of my mouth, and that does open up and wakes up other things inside of you when it's unfamiliar. It's like when you go to an unfamiliar place in the world, you're learning so much, and you're bouncing off of the energy of this place.
Yeah.
And so I get to bounce off the energy of those words in my mouth, and the forming of the in the shape, and and it wakes things up, it shakes things up. Um Oof, yeah, I've had some really intense experiences with that. Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Hmm. I love that so much. Um, every time I've engaged with your art, like I've noticed within myself that like, I didn't really have a strong connection to my roots, even
Mm,
as like a first generation Belizean Afro-Central American.
mm,
Like part of that was missing, and I'm like definitely more a New Yorker. Like that's what I relate to most.
mhm,
But even engaging with your art, whether it was through the performances or just your singing, like I always felt like an innate remembering. It's like
mm,
embedded in my soul. Just like this deep inner knowing of like soul connection to whatever you were sharing with us.
mm.
And I just thought that was like super powerful that it's like a natural connection to humanity I just feel in my heart.
Mm,
Whereas like I may not know the language, I may not know the origins of what you're sharing, but there was just like this thread of connectedness.
mm,
And that's what I always appreciated most about your expressions in art and music.
mm. Wow, that brings up number one, thank you for reflecting that back and sharing that with me. Um,
As
two,
I cry.
it's okay. I may cry too. I'm a crier. I'm a crier. I'm just releasing energy. That's what I tell my dog. Just
Yes, yes.
okay. It comes out this way.
Right, it's just transmuting.
You know,
It's fine.
exactly. Or I say to her, he's like, "You want to see some magic?" And I start to cry. Like, what's going on? I was just, and I tell her because I was really upset, or I'm really frustrated, or I'm really scared, and look at how I just transmuted that. How come I
Mhm.
said, and it's coming out in tears now? You
Yes.
know, you
How
see, like,
commencing.
yeah, I was like, you get to see my magic. You get to see these tears. But two things came up when you were saying, number one, just really thank you for reflecting that back to me. Oftentimes you don't know how what you're doing is landing.
Mm.
And that's also a part of being in a part of the unknown.
Oh, yeah.
It's not always the cheers, right? It's not always like, woo, the claps or whatever, the awards,
Hmm.
because that's actually not my connection to people. It's not that. I mean, that's cute, but my connection is like, what's really going on in there? Like I'm more curious about that, the
Yeah.
intimacy of being human with each other. And so what came up for me is I got the nickname the Bone-Rattler.
Mm.
And that came from, it was actually something I would go to performances and there's always be one or somebody, oh my God, you just rattle my bones when you, and then one of my sister friends who's an artist too was like, Tossie, you're the bone rattler. Because we always hear that. You are the bone rattler. And I was like, oh, and then the band was like, that's exactly what, this kind of stuff, right? But it's so in alignment with like with my intentions. Before I go perform or get behind a mic or show up in a space where I need to make sound or make some
Right.
type of art, um, I call them my auntie honey. My auntie honey is an ancestor now, but I say if I could just have just a little bit of what you had, you
Mm.
know, just a little bit. My auntie honey was a phenomenal gospel singer and show woman. I was gonna say
Yeah.
show woman. You know, the stories my family would share about her performing in places and people like, oh, honey is here. Come on up and give us a song, and she'll walk up there and one story that they told was that they said, okay, this is the stage, whatever, we're gonna sing a song. Just don't step over those lights. That's it. So I got to worry about. Just don't step over those lights.
Right.
Sure enough, she was singing her song and, started to feel it and she went stepping over the lights. So, and my family always tell that story and they just crack up about like how people were like running backstage, like what they were trying to do because there she went. She took off. And so I always say if I could just have a little bit of that boldness, that fire that she had, uh, and that I can use that if she will with my spirit of what I'm doing with sound, and all I'm looking to do is crack somebody. I literally would say this. I just want to crack somebody's infrastructure, their structure, their bones,
Yeah.
so spirit can come in and do whatever spirit has to do. Spirit is your spirit, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. You figure it out. But whatever that is, for you to maybe see yourself in a different way or get another message or just whatever. I just want to, whatever I'm doing when I sing, perform, period, just a little bit of just a little one. It don't even have to be big.
Yeah.
But with that intention means I will never know what that person received, right? Like, because that may not show up until a month, a week, hours after, right? Well, their spirit having a way in to then transform them. And I'm not they're going to say, oh, I was transformed and this was cracked open because Tossie sung this song, and like they're not gonna say that. So there's this, like, I have to trust that I'm just delivering that. Trust that someone out of the 500 here, trust that just one. That's it. That's my intention. And so when I got named the bone-rattler, every time I sing, I was like, yeah, it's perfect, because that's literally what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to rally your bones, just crack this a little bit, so you can have your spiritual experience when it's time, which is again about medicine. Music is medicine.
Yeah.
And then the other that it made me think about, it just slipped my mind. It'll come back.
Yeah.
It'll come back. Yeah. I mean, I know you're doing these podcasts and your sound. I mean, I want to go into asking you what inspired you to do this, and
Yeah, sure.
what are you hoping to give by doing this? Like, what's your intention in this
Yeah.
sonic creation that you're doing right now?
I like that. Similar to what I mentioned at the start, it wasn't necessarily to help alleviate our nervousness, but this project has been on my to-do list for several years.
Mhm.
And part of it was like I've had lots of really amazing conversations with people over the years, and that feeling you get like, oh, I wish other people were able to hear what we were talking about, and like the realizations we were sharing and epiphanies and aha moments.
Mhm.
And I know the field is saturated, but it was important to me most of all to share with other people that a creative process isn't what we think it is.
Mm.
Like I grew up feeling like I couldn't be creative, that it was a waste of time, energy, resources. And so I believed for decades that one, I wasn't creative. Two, I wasn't meant to be creative. And there was no space for me to be creative. And they were all lies that I lived with for years.
Goodness, all lies.
Yep.
Lies.
Lies.
Yeah, lies. Lies. Wow, that's so powerful. Um, some of the things that stuck out when you just said that is, um, how, again, music is medicine, how music contribute to uh, undo those lies.
Hmm.
That music, sound. Um, Also about just the creative process itself.
Yeah.
How beautiful and messy and sticky and all the things that it is, and how sometimes we don't have we see it seems like we don't have permission to be that messed up.
Yes.
Like a high price to pay to be that screwed up. Like,
Hmm.
and yeah, I could go into like the environment and socially as Black bodied individuals,
Absolutely.
the restriction of just messing up.
Mm.
Just where's the room to mess up?
Yeah.
There's no room to mess up. But then you're supposed to like step into this whole thing of creativity where you're just supposed to get completely messy, or you have to get
Yeah.
messy. It's like, wait,
It's
what?
hard. It's like
It's
short
hard.
circuiting. Like, what?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes. Yes. And oh God, that just, yeah, that's when earlier we talked a little bit about how the creative process is so very attached to my mental health.
Yeah.
And the creative process, the messiness, the unfolding, the redoing, the unknown, the I know, I got it. Oh my God, I totally don't. You know, like just that whole like monstrous cycle that
Yeah.
the self-doubt. Oh my God, the self-doubt,
I
the
know.
compare and despair.
Yeah.
Oh my God. The being woken up in the middle of the night with thoughts and ideas and or just your mind not turning off because you're swimming in the creativity and now I'm sleep deprived the next day.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, ooh, it's so, and then, oh my God. And then, you know, I learned when you're sleep deprived, you know, one of the causes of Alzheimer is people not getting enough sleep. So now I'm freaking out about about
Oh
my
no.
health. Oh God, I'm triggering. Alzheimer's gonna get me when I get older. Like, you know, just excuse me,
Yeah.
trying to like I got to manage all of that, right? While being a mother, while being a person walking down the street that doesn't look like she's losing her shit, you know,
Oh man.
while being a lover, while being a daughter, while being a sister friend, a sister, like, ooh, people, it's a ride, you know, it's a
Yeah.
ride. And I've come to really, I've learned some things about how to be in this ride. Well, I remember one time I was in a production. This will always happen, but this particular production is when I got the aha. I was in the production and the production was about to perform. My favorite part of things it's the creative process. It's to see it, it's being in the development of something.
Yeah.
I probably could just stay in the places of we're developing, we're, you know, the icing on the cake. I don't even feel like it's the icing on the cake. It's when it's completely done is when we're on stage performing it for everybody else. Like,
True. Yeah.
for me, I've already reached climax. Now you guys do you know, the
Yeah.
performance is not the climax for me.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And I remember we were approaching show dates.
Yeah.
And I started to tumble emotionally. I started to feel very hermit, like want to just recluse, stay in the house, not talk to many people. My cell phone is off all day. You know, like it just started to I started to close in. I started to come in. And I was like, what is that about? You know, and because Tossie, you gotta perform, girl.
Yeah.
Like, you know, come on, chop, chop, chop. You know, we gotta have all the fire to be. Come on, and I'm going in, and then I said out loud, I was like, I think I'm afraid, and I'm preparing for when it's over the silence. You spend months with this cast of people, cast with a T, of people getting messy, exploring, landing, flying, soaring, crying, injuring yourself, all this whole thing, like for months, at best, months, right? And you know, and then you perform, and then it's silent. You don't see them anymore. Rehearsals are over. There's no, you know, like your week was packed with rehearsal. Your week was packed with you rehearsing at home by yourself.
Yep.
And now it's done. It's just like silence. And in that silence, well, we know what happens in silence. We've all experienced COVID-19, you know, the COVID-19 and it had us in our place. And we all began to unearth, right? That's what happens in silence. You begin to unearth. And sometimes that unearthing is uncomfortable and it brings up a lot, you know, it brings up a lot of stuff. And that's attached to the productions. Like, you know, when I get the release characters I've had to embody.
Yeah.
These prayers that I've sung over and over and over, finally release them. Like, that's it. I'm not praying. Like, ceremony is really now just beginning for me. Once I hit the silence, the ceremony of creation, the ceremony of the intention of the songs you were singing, the cast, the character, I get the sonic resonance in that silence.
Yeah.
and then there's that the ceremony is now beginning with myself, the uncovering, the discovering, the which looks like tears and tantrums sometimes. Full on. And I give myself permission. I tell myself, like, look here. if you could only see me in my house, you'd be like, Lord, is she okay? You know, I was like, I'm gonna make this count. One of my spiritual advisors was like, when you cry, make it count. Make
Yeah.
it count. You know, and I was like, you got a point, you know, like instead of, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you just trying to cry and like, I don't want to, you just cry. Oh, no. We going all in. Like throw myself on the floor, cry, kick my feet, you know, make my like scratch my stomach really hard. And it probably just lasted a few seconds, like sometimes a few minutes, sometimes days, but a lot of
Yeah.
times it's just like a few minutes, and I'm just like, whew, all right. You know,
Yeah.
so but the ceremony begins after all of that is over, and so I've learned like with my lovers at the time, I would say, look, you know, when I'm going through production, I could be kind of distant, and it's because I'm chanting these songs over and over again, these lyrics, the words of a script. I'm marking how I need to move on stage, and so it takes up a lot of space. The character I need to embody, so I could be a little distant, a little, you know, like I'm here, but I'm probably need a lot. I need a lot of time anyway. I'm an introvert, so I need a lot of time by myself. So boom, that's probably going to be happening when I'm in production, and then when I'm coming out of production, now Tossie a little needy.
Yeah.
I'm a little needy. Now I'm like sitting super close to you and talking to you at the weirdest moments when you're like, can I look at this game? You know, and I'm like, but I want to talk about, you know, other
Oh.
things. But at least I could tell them that now, right? Like at least I
Yeah.
could say, here's a flow that I've learned about myself. And then also I'm very much Tossie and very much a creator. So that might change. But I'm telling you what it's been for a little bit. So rock with me, you know?
Right.
So I'm so grateful to have the time and the introspection uh to know how I need to flow so I can stay in good relation, healthy
Yeah.
relation with the people that I love who's around me.
Right.
You know? And that's a part of, you know, the creative process. Is like how do we stay in relation with those that we love when we're in the mess. When you know when I'm waking up in the middle of the night, and I remember one time my partner woke up in the middle of the night and he just, what's wrong? And I was like, you know, and I'm in the bathroom crying and going through the room,
Oh.
you know, and I was like, nothing's wrong, but everything's wrong. And I know that that doesn't make any sense, but just go back to
Go
bed.
back to bed.
Nothing's wrong, like nothing's wrong, and everything is wrong, you know. And so,
You're having like a full-on like Angela Bassett moment. Like
completely multiple times a year, to be quite frank, like you know. So, but that's the beauty in me that you know I've learned over the years to be comfortable with that. I remember not being comfortable with that. I remember like not being able to have people intimate, my lovers around me when I'm going through when a production ends or when I'm in the middle of a production, it would get really chaotic, you know, that, oh, can we go out here? I'm like, I can't think. No, I can't go out. You know, I'm sensitive because I just been singing these words for how long, you know, and I didn't
yeah.
know how to handle that. So I just would just shut it off, you know, shut off the intimacy with people I want to get to know. And so a big part of my creative process is to maintain intimacy. How do I oscillate, you know, with that
Yeah.
intimacy? And what is it? Esther Perel has said something that I study a lot around. Actually, I studied it. I first started studying intimacy through looking at people who cheat on their partners,
Yeah.
trying to understand that dynamic. Like it's a really interesting, it's not as black and white as we want, you know, desire is a really interesting thing when it comes to attraction, desire, and that whole you know, being an intimate connection with people. And that's not just with
Yeah.
lovers, that's like with your children, with anybody. It's a dance. It's a not sometimes invisible fluctuation that we're
Mm-hmm.
navigating. And
Mm-hmm.
and Esther Perel says something it's another quote that I love, or something I meditate on quite a lot. She said that some people come out of childhood wanting more security,
Right.
And some people come out of childhood wanting more freedom.
Mm.
And then the question is, where do you see yourself in that? And
Yeah.
that question is, that's not a dead question. It's not a one and done. It's a constant. It's ones that I say that I ask with my lover, like what would you say? You came out of childhood wanting more security or wanting more space? I know for me, I want more space. I want more freedom. And
Yeah.
that it doesn't mean that I don't want intimacy. It just means I need, the box got to be a little bit bigger because I start to
Ah,
feel closed in, and then I'm like, get me out of here, like that
right.
happened. But it doesn't mean I don't want to stay connected. Now that's a whole nother thing when it comes to me and lovers, because then I'm the woman who they feel like is a bird. I've been called a bird, and it's not that I'm just a bird. It's just because I don't want to be capped off with certain things, right?
Sure.
And I tend to meet men who are very on this. I want security, so they want the title and the blah, 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 blah. Like, of course, we're attracting each other, right? Like, we gotta learn from each other. That's why we're attracting
Right.
each other. So it's a really interesting thing. But I bring that up to just say that that's the intimacy with creativity.
Yeah.
Where am I coming out of childhood with my creativity? And my experience with creativity? Did I need more security or did I need more freedom? And then
Yeah.
how do I nurture that intimacy with my creativity and then relay it to those I am being intimate with?
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow, that's powerful. Because immediately I'm thinking for us to share with someone else, it's already been like incubated within ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's already materialized into something that we can hold
Mm.
to then give it to someone else,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
Regardless of how developed that gift is or how connected we are to what we're giving. But it definitely like reminded me of something that stood out to me as a fan of your work. You started sharing like these public like journal statements.
Mm.
I state it in that way because that's how I relate to it, where you would say, "Dear Tossie,"
Mm-hmm.
and you would just share something that would just feel so intimate that
Mm.
it's kind of sweet to find some kind of reflection of ourselves in you as an artist. One that really meant a lot to me was back in 2017. You wrote, "Dear Tossie." I'm gonna skip, let
Okay,
people
okay.
read it themselves. But
Yeah.
the part that stood out was I hugged and celebrated myself. I hit a few body rolls, twirls, and twerks, because this joy that I have, the world didn't give it, and the world can't take it away.
Oh boy.
Knowing how to acknowledge, check, and celebrate myself is a continual practice. I'm grateful that I took the time to fill me up first.
Oh boy. Oh, Tossie, you could cry. Go ahead.
I'm already crying.
Oh my goodness.
I
Yeah.
love it so much because when the shutdown happened, like I just kind of went all cocoon style, but I made self-love and self-forgiveness the priority.
Mm.
And it's like you said, like the silence was there. And
Mm.
in the silence is when everything comes up to be re-examined because it finally has a space, right?
Yes.
To be looked at. And yes, I totally went through the ugly cries, the screaming in the pillows
Yeah.
because it needed to come out. And I finally had the space to do so. And
Yes.
this is just one of those things that I wish we were taught not even just as Black women, I mean, especially as Black women, but it's something that I hold dear to me. It's important to know all the ways you could love yourself and express that. And I just love that you had shared that in your social media. I could go on, but we don't have to.
I mean, I'm wow, I'm kind of taken aback. Like, somebody read those things,
Right.
like I just, you just never know, right? Like, and to just hear my words reflected back to me, I know exactly what post that was that from and what it was about. I mean, I started the Dear Tossies because I've been a journaler since like elementary school, and I actually still have all of my journals.
Awesome.
Yeah, I still have all of my journals, and sometimes, I go back through them, but it is a practice. It's a part of my first quarter. The first quarter of the year is because of, it's winter and it's cold and we're inside, and our bodies naturally start wanting to cocoon, and I take that time to do a lot of deep reflection. So one of my practices that I have, rituals that I've put in place for myself, is to pick a book, any journal, put your hand, look at them, and all, and got like several Tupperware, not what are they called, bins, those plastic bins full, and pick one, and then just start reading through it.
Wow.
To remember. And yeah, so Dear Tossie has been going on for a long time. But what I realized with social media, I didn't really know how to relate to social media. Like, I'm still kind of don't, like,
You're not alone.
I'm like,
I don't either.
Yeah, I'm just like, cheese? I don't know. Like, I feel like, oh my God, all my dorky stuff comes awkwardness. All of it is just.
There's still an audience for it, which is what I love about the internet.
Right. They're like, I'm here for that awkward, right? But so the way that I could relate or was allow myself to come to, right, like approach it, was through what I know how to do, which is journal. I still journal every morning. So it's like, so let's let this be a journal entry. I know how to talk to me. I know how to talk. I know what I hear. But if I'm trying to make that for somebody else, oh Lord, that's a whole nother thing, but
Yeah.
when it's for me, it's like, yeah, Dear Tossie, like I'm really reflective, I'm a very, very reflective woman. And so, that's where the Dear Tossies came from. And then my girlfriend, I have several girlfriends who would hit me up, Dear Tossie, they'll just put Dear Tossie in it. And I know it's code for, girl, we need to talk. I'm going through some stuff. I want to hear your perspective.
Love it.
And so they'll be like, they'll just text, Dear Tossie. I'll be like, bet, what time? What time we meet up to talk? Like that's. And so it just was like my way of just sharing actually aspects of myself that you don't necessarily concede through performance and sound and music, that I look at and rigorously study intimacy, rigorously study and investigate biohacking, all these different ways. So this is the way it can just naturally start to flow out when I do these reflective, quote unquote, journal entry, quote unquote, social media posts, which I don't do often. It's like once every 2-3 years or something. It's like I'm terrible at it. And then the other thing is when you talk about the silence, and I cannot leave this out when I talk about myself as an artist and just where I am right now in my artistry is last year. What is it, 2022? 2021. Last year, I believe it was last year. Yeah, in 2021, I had vocal fold surgery. They removed some nodules.
Oh, wow.
Voice, and it required me to be in silence for, the doctor said, 3 months.
Oh, that's a long time.
That's a long time. And I was like 3 months, like I'm full on silent. I was like, wait, let's get it like full on. And he was like, definitely for the first 6 to 8 weeks.
Even that's a long time.
Right. And I was like, whoa. And I was like, and it could last like longer. He said, depends on how it's healing. but it could be like 3 months. So we
Oh,
tell people 3 months,
right.
prepare for 3 months. So I was so excited. Oh my God, people thought I was crazy. What? You excited
Wow.
about that? I was absolutely excited. I bought my little whiteboard, the one I had to carry with me to write out what I had to say.
Oh, wow.
I was like, I was here for it because I've been wanting to do a silent retreat for the longest. So I was like, oh, I'm
Mm.
a silent, like here it is, Tasha, you get to do it, right?
Wow,
So I,
manifest.
I, I had my girlfriend came over. I was like, I cannot be silent. And I want beauty around me. I have to have it. Like I'm gonna have to have beauty around me. It's like she helped me redecorate my bedrooms. It was all cute and stuff. I got totally prepared.
Are
Honey,
you a
wait.
Taurus?
Oh, I'm a Taurus. Can't you tell? Can't you tell? Oh my God. I am an absolute Taurus with a Pisces moon. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
wonderful.
yeah, right. Kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
So we like redid my living room, redid my bedroom because I wanted to walk around my house and, it'd be like extra cute and pretty and, beautiful around me. Um, and I had and don't even get me started on the other side of that because talk about music business, like the business aspect of being a creative and how when things like that come up, where's the health insurance? Where's
Oh,
things to
right.
help pay? So I had to look at myself for 3 months. So let's like talk about entering the void. 3 months. The very tool I use to produce money, income, a currency in the form of money into my life, I
Mm.
can't use for 3 months.
Wow.
This was like unexpected, right? Like an unexpected surgery. Wasn't so, and I could have put it off, like, let me prepare for this a year, save up.
Oh,
But the
wow.
other part of that was like the pandemic was, it's kind of like jump on the opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we're kind of still in this limbo of pandemic. It's just society's a little bit more forgiving that you're just online and like
Right.
jump on the moment, right? Just jump on the moment. I had to jump on the moment, which was like into the void. Did I have everything set up? Not totally how I would have wanted it to. Like, I'm a Taurus. I like
Yeah.
security, but I had to leap, and it was like, okay, let's do this. So we did it. I did it. And so right now where I'm at with my voices, I'm learning it. I'm learning my voice again.
Yeah.
I have massive insecurities around me singing. Massive.
Yeah. I feel
I
that.
haven't really sung much. I haven't. And so my critical voice is super loud. Like, oh my gosh, like it reminds me of when I first set out to have a creative career. And I went to an audition and I was standing in the room, standing in the hall where everybody was standing for it was for a
Yeah.
musical. And they're like, number three, da 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 da, Tossie Long, da 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 da, Tossie Long. Child, I just stood there like I ain't
Oh,
Tossie.
oh, wow.
I was so scared. I was so scared. Stood there for hours, in the hall for your audition, and
Yeah.
when it came to my name, I just was like, I'm not even her. Like I'm looking around like, where is she? Where is she? And then when they went in the room, I went to the bathroom and I just was like almost cried right there. But then I just like, yeah, walked to the car. But I was like, that's where I was creatively. I
Wow.
tried. That's where I was. And it felt like that. It feels like that all over again. Can I trust this voice? Do I know this voice? What can it do? What can it do? I'm scared. The things I used to do with my voice right now, I can't do it. It's not happening. And I
Yeah.
like those things that I did with my voice. It's like, oh
Oh,
my goodness,
yeah.
it's not there. But here's the thing. Here's the spiritual thing about this. 3 months of silence. And I took the 3 months, even though probably like after about 9 weeks, I was given like 5 minutes of talk time. And it literally felt like, have you seen the movie Beloved? And when what's her name? Candy Newton started to speak again, or
Oh, man.
started to
Yeah.
speak, and she was standing there, she was she was trying to stop.
Yeah.
That's literally how it felt. Like
Wow.
I could not form I was like, whoa, holy moly, what is this? Like this,
Yeah.
it was a trip. And So I took the full 3 months because I was just like, nobody gotta know. I can't, So I'm just
Just
about to
gonna
take the full
know.
3 months of just right. And so I was in the void. I was in that silence. I was in that silence, and all kind of things came up. But the biggest thing, the gift of this surgery, and what I was in the silence with, was the nodules on my vocal folds is weight. So the doctor says to me,
Mm,
"We're going to remove the nodules," and I was like, okay, can something go wrong? Absolutely, right? So that
right.
anything could go wrong with surgery, but it's probably that it may not. But we got to tell you it may. But what was happening is we're removing the nodules, and removing the nodules is like removing weight that has been on your vocal cords. So I was like, wait, hold up. So you're saying that I'm going to hear my voice once I come out of the surgery for the first time as an adult without strain and extra weight. I'm a Black woman.
Wow.
We think about the weight of the world, think about the weight in our community that we carry just being in these bodies. And I get to hear my voice. Not as a kid. I don't remember my voice before 5, 6. I don't remember what I sound like, but for the first time, I could hear myself as an adult, what it sounds like to have your body, my voice, without weight,
Yeah.
anything weighing it down. And I would tell you what it feels like. It's a lot of ease. My
Wow.
I have a lot of ease. Things that would take a little like effort for me is effortless, and I'm uncomfortable with the effortlessness. I know how to use my voice when it's the weight on there. I know how to feel it in my body, bounce around in my body when I'm singing, when the weight was on there. Now I'm singing it and it's not there. And what I said is like, I don't feel my voice in my knees. I don't feel my voice in my lower back or in the back of my thighs. Where is it? So I'm uncomfortable. So I'm relearning ease. I'm relearning my voice. I'm relearning using it. And it has levels of agility that I didn't have before, but it's also not crafted, right? It's not so refined because I have to learn it. I have to learn how to use it.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
going back to the beginning in a sense. You're going back to the beginning with the memory of a older person. Who knows,
Mm,
right? With the memory of what was. I mean, it's really a trip. It's like if you
yeah.
could go to your past life body, your past life self, but then come back to this self and remember while you're living this life what your past life was like.
Right. So you have the
That's how I feel.
opportunity.
That's how I feel
Yeah.
sonically. Like I remember what my voice sound like. I remember what it felt like in my body. I literally remember, like not a distant memory. I can re-sing songs I sung, and I'm like, it's not feeling the same.
Right.
And so I have to find this new. I have to find. I mean, I'm using the word new because it's not new. It's ancient. I'm older. I've been
Yeah.
here before, so it's like I have to find how to sonically be with ease, which is also a metaphor for life. Because anything that I do sonically and with my art is just a reflection of me, my living. It's not separate. It's a spiritual practice.
Yeah.
So my practice is in that silence that I had for those 3 months, and in the ceremony continues, like I've said, is
Right.
learning how to be with ease, the effortlessness, the agility. Like, because how you do anything is how you do everything.
Right.
How you do anything is how you do everything. So that's where I'm at creatively, is learning how to remembering and also giving my voice and myself an opportunity with a new leash on what I sound like and what I do. So it's a whole newness. I can't carry what was, but I can remember it. I have to let it go and allow myself to be born again, birthed again through what I'm doing, and which leads me to my project, Red Clay Sound Haus, is what I'm working on, and the name describes what the project is, but the reason why house is because I come from homemakers.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather was a contractor, Andy Brothers Contracting. He built homes and apartment buildings all throughout San Francisco and in the South. And my grandmother was a home economics teacher, um, where she taught the functionings of the inside of a home,
Yeah.
how to cook, money management. They don't have home economics in schools now. really anymore. That was
Mm.
taken out, but that was, back then. So I come from home builders. I come from my legacy is I come from home builders. My grandfather built the outside, the infrastructure. My grandmother built the inside. And being a part of that legacy, I'm a home builder. I am an architect. And what I mean by that is I build sonic homes, homes that
Mm.
I can feel within my body. This is the music that I do, the spiritual ceremonial music that I studied, and how to get the dear Tossie to be at home in self, but also to share that with others so they can have their reflective, the bone-rattler, where they can have their time with them. And red clay is just what they have called the dirt in Mississippi, the soil.
Mhm.
They also say that in Georgia, red clay. Georgia is really known for the red clay, but I'm using red clay to signify the southern roots of what I come from, of the dirt, so what I'm made from. And so Red Clay Sound Haus is a performance and production company, and we are producing immersive listening, deep listening experiences with projects around the sound of Black San Francisco. As we know, San Francisco has a less than 5% population of Black folks. And so I'm creating an immersive experience around that. And also with a vision and intention around land, love, labor, and legacy. Land is representative of our roots. Legacy is from our ancestors, what we are, our roots, right? Like what we are made from, what we were taught from, what shaped us. Memory, our
Okay.
ancient selves and our future selves, right? Is legacy. Labor is looking at the constructing of. My grandfather was a contractor. My grandmother constructed the inside. I'm constructing, creating sound. And then love. Love being one of desire, one love being that of community, one love being that of intimacy. So
Yeah,
land, love, labor, and legacy. Red Clay Sound Haus.
I love it.
Yeah.
What a way to conclude a most magical spiritual hour of, wow, creative inquiry.
Can I say one thing before we close out?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you for trusting your vision. Thank you for dreaming big, as your screensaver says. Thank you for not silencing, even when you said that another market is flooded. Thank you for not silencing. Thank you for the space you're creating. Thank you for the inquiry. Thank you for the time to reflect. Um, Thank you for your research. That's a gift to have someone look into who you are in your body of work. I don't hold that lightly. I like honored and admire your diligence and your exploration. Thank you for modeling to pour into yourself in the form of these ideas, these creative ideas, or um, dispelling lies. It's just a pour into self. Thank you. Thank you, big.
Thank you. That's all I can get out.
Yeah.
Serious.
Yeah. I'm so inspired. Yeah, you really inspire me. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Then my intention is fulfilled.
And so it is. It is so.